I can't even scratch the surface of how rapidly the threat landscape is changing and how much more dangerous it is for any business that's connected to the internet.
If you're a business owner and you're out there swimming in the ocean every single day, just trying to keep your head above water and keep your business afloat. But what if I told you while you're focused on treading water, there are literal cybersecurity sharks circling just inches beneath the surface? When you're scaling a company and hiring a remote talent, it's easy to focus on growth and ignore the operational drag of cybersecurity. But ignorance is only bliss until you get bitten. Welcome back to the Dave Tech Lee Show. Today, we're diving into the operational trauma of building remote teams in the most paranoid industry on earth, cybersecurity and HIPAA. Our guest today is a titan of compliance. He is the founder of Security First IT and HIPAA for MSPs, a board member of the American Institute of Healthcare Compliance, and a key voice of the federal HICP 405D task group. He manages the impossible tension between remote freedom and strict federal mandates, proving that high stakes security doesn't have to mean a culture of fear. Please welcome the guy who is going to help us build a massive operational shield around our businesses so we can delegate without stress, David Sims. In this episode, we cover how hackers are using AI to flawlessly clone the voices and videos of our own team members to steal your money. We talk about how your email inbox is the front door for attacks, making you 20 times more likely to get breached there than through a direct hack. We get into the exact strategies you need to secure your offshore and remote teams so you can delegate with total confidence. And we discuss how to maintain an amazing connected company culture across multiple time zones. If you want to achieve balance of success and scale your business without losing sleep over data breaches, you need to hear this conversation. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. Well, thanks for being here. I've known you for how many years now? Like
I don't even know. 15 maybe? I'm not sure.
really that long?
I'm not sure.
Not that long. Probably closer to 10, I think. Yeah, 10 years. So yeah, we first met. It was like a GFI kind of like add-on, right? IT add-on,
Yeah,
right?
it
For
was some
our
type of
MSPs.
conference. Yep.
Yeah. And then yeah, we connected and the rest is history. You run a big IT company, right? An IT MSP firm,
Right.
right? And you're big into security and compliance and HIPAA, and you work with a lot of medical
Mhm.
facilities, right?
Right.
Um, so I love to kind of hear your thoughts on with all just basically like all the changes, right? With compliance, what's going on
Mhm.
for people that are listening in that are business owners, especially small business owners,
Right.
right? What are some of the things that people should be aware of? And even if they're not in the medical industry,
Mhm.
right? What should they be thinking about?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of split this up. From a compliance standpoint, we're seeing a lot more aggression toward pushing these frameworks out. There are certain industries that have those in place. We've mentioned medical with HIPAA. In finance, they have FTC safeguards, and there are others that have CMMC. If you're, doing work with the Department of Defense or War or whatever they want to call it today. So there are these frameworks out there, and there are these regulations out there, but not every business has regulations tied to it. I do think at some point, though, it's going to roll out kind of to everybody.
Hmm.
It's something I've actually talked about numerous years ago, where I would say at some point it's going to be like HIPAA for everybody. It's not going to be
Mhm.
HIPAA; it'll be something related to that, and we're seeing that over the course of the years. We're seeing that kind of happening, where it's flowing to everybody. It's just to the point where if you have anybody's data for any reason, there is a
Mhm.
level of expectation that you are protecting that data and that you're doing everything you can to make sure your customers' information is not getting out there. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately there are businesses that will be proactive in protecting that, but in most cases people aren't willing to do that unless there's some uh, negative consequence for it. And so that's why you see
Yeah.
regulation and things like that come out, because basically it's not rewarding you for doing things that you should be doing. It's kind of punishing you if you don't protect people. And so
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing on the compliance side. On the cybersecurity side, because of AI and things like that, I can't even scratch the surface of how rapidly um, and I'm not a doom and gloom and fear monger type person at all, but it's one of those things where, imagine you're at the beach and you see people swimming in the water. They can't see necessarily what's around them, but you got the person that's in the lifeguard tower up on the pier, and you look down and you're like, oh my gosh, they're literally 50 yards away from a shark. I see the shark.
Yeah.
And I've actually had that happen, but that's kind of where
Were you the lifeguard or were you the one
no, I was the
swimming?
one. No, I was the one on the pier,
Oh, okay.
and I mean, literally see a school of sharks swimming close to people. They didn't mess with them, but my thinking
Yeah.
is like, if you knew that, if you knew what was there and how close you were to that, you would not be there. And it's very similar in cybersecurity that I'm able to see, not because I have some kind of foresight, just because I'm in that industry. I'm able to see
Yeah.
all the dangers that everybody is immersed in, is swimming all around them, while they're
Yeah.
just obliterate to just, I just don't, I don't, I
Yeah.
don't,
Like, do. We're
yeah,
just gonna keep floating in the
right.
water.
And then it's bad, but it's very hard to have conversations with people about that when they don't see the danger, like I'm able to see it, and they don't think it's a big issue. And again, I'm not a fear mongering type person. And so there's a balance between informing people of the dangers, but yet not trying to scream, the sky's falling.
Well, yeah. And going with your analogy, I love the analogy. So if the business or the business owner is the person that's swimming, just kind of like just trying to survive.
Mhm.
And so like there's different levels, right? If they're in the water and they're drowning, then forget the sharks, right?
Right.
They're just trying to get out of the water, right?
Exactly.
Then okay, they're not drowning. And then at what point would you say a business is like, okay, they've figured out how to swim now. They're
Mhm.
treading water. Like at what point should they start being aware of these sharks around them?
So I think you should be aware of the sharks around you from the beginning. And here's the thing that cybersecurity and the shark analogy have in common. You may go swim every single day for a year and the sharks aren't there.
Hmm.
And one day they are.
Yeah.
So it's a changing landscape. You never know when the danger is very close to you or not.
Mm.
And so you always have to go in with the risk mindset that that could possibly happen. If you go swimming in the ocean, no matter how many times you've done it, there's always
Hmm.
that risk that something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody that I know of who's gotten bit by a shark was like, well, I really expected that today.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Lost my arm.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh, I think that the whole thing really comes down to being aware of the risks. I'm
Yeah.
aware that they exist. Am I willing to accept the risk? Am I willing to mitigate it down to a level that I can accept? What am I
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Just ignoring it doesn't do any good. If I'm in the lifeguard tower screaming shark, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but really?
Uh,
Or, that's okay. I've had sharks swim by me before. I'm okay. I mean, which can happen, but that
yeah.
doesn't mean you're always going to be.
Yeah.
And it's that's the hard part, because there are many times when I'm telling people it's dangerous, it's dangerous, it's dangerous.
Hmm.
And then a few months later, they come back and, oh, I wish I would have done it. I wish I would have took your advice, because now I have a data breach on my hands. I've lost
Yeah.
company data. I've been swindled out of tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and prevention is definitely cheaper than
Yeah.
than
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Like I said, yeah, sometimes like if you lose your arm from a shark, it's not like you can attach your arm back in, right?
yeah,
Unless you can find your arm somewhere.
right.
It's already been eaten, right? Now let's talk about the sharks themselves. So the one of my first things when you talked about AI and brought up AI and the sharks, like it's gotten or fakes a family member's voice, right, through AI,
Mm-hmm.
and pretend that, the old scam was like, oh yeah, hey, your daughter, your son is like stranded somewhere, please send money. But imagine now they have their audio, their voice, and they're sending,
Mm-hmm.
your mom or your dad or your grandparents like, hey, this is actually sounds like you, and send money here. They're gonna believe it.
Yeah. Well, not just audio, but video. You can do
Yeah,
that.
video
I
too.
mean, I did this about a year ago, and of course, in AI time, that's a millennial. But about a
Yeah.
year ago, I did something where I cloned my voice, had it say something, and then I played it for different members of my family, and they were barely able to tell. This was a year ago. Imagine how much
Yeah.
more advanced it is now. They were barely able to tell the difference, and these are
Yep.
people that are around me all day, every day. So yeah, it's getting rough. And we're certainly seeing times where people are scammed at work. You've got,
Mhm.
let's say you've got a CFO, you don't talk to him but maybe once a week, if that.
Mhm.
And then all of a
Yep.
sudden you get a phone call from him and
Mhm.
it's, do something. You're probably not going to pick up on the nuances of his voice. You're just not interacting with him that much.
Yeah.
And it's happened.
Yeah. Really?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The real
Oh
scenario.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's absolutely happened.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So from your experience, what are some of the other sharks, I guess, you've seen that's been kind of either crazy or just common?
Yeah, well, anything coming through your email is always suspicious. So
Mhm.
the thing that kind of confuses me, if you want to use that word, is how many people don't have email security in place or don't
Mm.
have advanced email security. If I told you that the likelihood that somebody's going to kick in your front door is 20 times higher than them coming through your window, where are you going to focus your security efforts?
Front
On the
door.
front door.
Yeah.
But when I tell people that it's 20 times more likely they're going to come through your email account than your computer getting like directly hacked,
Mhm.
it's like they don't they don't comprehend that. And they
Yeah.
just want to know, well, what about the anti-malware stuff you got on my computer? I'm like, that's only protecting you after they kick the door in. Like we want to
Yeah.
prevent the door in.
Yeah, right. Keep the door locked,
Yeah.
right? So like, okay, well, we use Gmail, we have a paid version
Hmm.
of Google, right? Workspace,
Right.
and people are using Office 365,
Hmm.
right? Well, I mean, they have certain levels in place, right? Sometimes I get that little warning saying, "Oh, this is suspicious. This is this might be spam," or it just automatically puts it in spam.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is that not good enough?
That's that's basic email security, and it is
Yeah,
good. It's better than nothing, and
yeah.
it's good to have. So I'm glad those platforms have that on there. I used to kind of think that it was good enough until I started putting email security in place that actually works after those. So it doesn't replace those. It says, let's let Microsoft and Google provide their security service, and then whatever they don't catch, whatever they filter through, will now catch that afterwards.
Hmm.
I was shocked at how many things actually make it through the basic Gmail and Microsoft security levels.
Right.
Now, some of that is just because they're providing you with a basic level of security. Some of it is
Yeah.
also because the security isn't configured properly in the first place.
Mm.
Some of it could be just because of how people use email. Like I feel like the way I use email, I don't get a lot of that kind of stuff because
Mm.
I'm not signing up for a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
I'm very kind of rigid in how I use email. Really, if it's not coming from somebody that's in my contact list, I probably don't even read it, and it
Mm.
goes straight into a different folder or gets deleted or whatever. But everybody doesn't have the ability to use email that way. I
Yeah.
understand that. There are some people like sales reps, like they need to be able to take calls and emails from everybody because it's a
Yeah.
potential
Yeah. Yeah.
client. So it's not a end all be all, but I like to have additional security in place for those reasons.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, just recently, I've been getting emails from like, oh yeah, you owe this invoice, or I was like, wait a minute, I don't even interact with this company. Like, well, what is this,
Hmm.
right? And it's starting to look a lot more legitimate. Like, an email from like Amazon cloud services,
Mhm.
AWS. I'm
Right.
like, wait a minute. Like, yeah, okay, we have AWS. We work with them. But this is clearly not AWS,
Right.
even though they try to fake the domain.
Well, you bring up a good point, which is the email security in and of itself is oftentimes looking for, is it spam? Does it meet those criteria of spam?
Yeah.
Is it malicious? Now you would say that email you got is malicious. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you that the way the systems are looking at it, it's not yet malicious. Like
Yeah.
the malicious part happens after you've moved outside of that. You've clicked the link,
Yeah.
you've went on to something else, then it asks you for login credentials and things like that's where the malicious part starts to happen. And
Yeah.
so it's a little harder for the email security to then say, is this malicious or is it not? Unless it's doing like click time protection, where when you click that link, it then starts investigating the link and things like
Mhm.
that. So that is a level of advanced security that can happen. Now, there are
Yeah.
things you can do for free and manually, like you can go and pull up I like using what's called browserling.com, where you can kind of spin up a quick virtual machine of Windows. And then it only gives you like, if you're on the free version, it gives you like 2 or 3 minutes. I think it's 2 minutes, you can use it for free. But it's
Okay.
enough time to go in, open up Chrome, paste in the link, and then
Mm.
see where it goes. And so you've
Yeah.
essentially clicked on it without clicking on it to see where it
Yeah.
goes to. Now,
Yeah.
I still don't recommend that to a lot of folks because if you left click, it's bad. You want to right click so you can copy the link. So it's just like, I hate to tell people even click on it at all because if they mess
Yeah.
up, click the wrong one.
Well, the thing is, like, we might get too technical into this, but like the moment they click on the link, that sends a message to the server, right? The
Mhm.
bad actor saying, like, aha, we got a sucker. But that sucker even though they may not have gone all the way through, but we know that they're kind of this is an interest, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So we're gonna try to keep pressuring and keep getting them to click on more
yeah.
links.
Let
So
me throw this one out there to you. So you get an email, right? Let's say the
yeah.
email you got says something about Amazon or whatever, and you're like, I don't want this junk email anymore.
Hmm.
And you scroll to the bottom and you see the unsubscribe link.
Yeah.
Now, what if that unsubscribe link is exactly what they want you to click on?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There you go.
You
There you
know?
go. Yeah. It's so many tricks. Well, yeah, and so it's important, right, to stay vigilant. That's all it takes is one or two times, and you lose an arm, right? The shark bites
Yeah.
you.
Well, it's the whole adage that, security is really not convenient. We understand that.
Yeah,
Like it's not convenient that I have to lock my house or lock my car or lock
yeah,
anything. That's not convenient for me. But it's also not optional. Like I can't leave my car unlocked everywhere I go. I can't leave my house and leave it unlocked. It's just
yeah,
not there. But I also have to make sure that the level and amount of security I put in place can't it can't obstruct me from doing things at an unreasonable level. Like it can't take me 10 minutes to get in my house because I got a thing. And it's the
yeah,
same thing with cybersecurity. Like we've got to put these things in place. They're not optional, shouldn't, but we can't put so much security in place that people just can't do their jobs. And so
yeah.
it's a balancing act.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I guess, do you have like a rough guideline, like for example, based off of maybe a company's revenue numbers or size? Like, okay, if you're just like a solo one person, company, which most of America is,
Mhm.
right? A solopreneur. You're at that place. Okay, what level of security do you need versus when you start hiring employees and team members, and are they local? Are they remote? And then you hit your first seven figures, your first million in revenue, or 10 million and 50 and 100 million,
Mhm.
right? Like, and so do you have like a general, like, rough framework where, like, okay, this is where you're at in your organization, and this is the level of security, because now you have much more risk, right? You're not dealing with a couple $1,000s, right?
Mhm.
You're dealing with millions now. One mess up,
Yeah.
that's millions.
Well, I mean, you said the right word, which is level of risk. And you can have a you can have a company with one person that has more risk and exposure than a company with 100,
Hmm.
especially nowadays. I mean, you can have $1 million company with no employees. You really, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So you have to look at what is your actual risk and your risk tolerance look like. Do you have personally identifiable information, or do you
Hmm.
have what in HIPAA is called protected health information? Because you could have 1,000 clients, and your level of risk is lower than somebody who's got 1,000 patients. So
Yeah.
it's different. So you have all the stuff has to be weighed differently. Do you have regulation that you have to deal with? What does it look like if you have a data breach? And I can tell you that any data breach that's making the news, even a little bit, the law firms are chasing those for class action lawsuits. So every
Mm.
data breach that we see that makes the news, no matter how small it is, you can almost always see a class action lawsuit following,
Oh,
because
wow.
people know that a data breach happened. It happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And can this business owner defend themselves to say that they were doing everything that was reasonable and appropriate to protect that data? Most of the time, not, which
Yeah.
is part of the conversation that I always have with clients is that number one, I want to defend them. I want to
Mhm.
defend them so that things don't happen,
Mhm.
but that's not always 100%.
Yeah.
And if things do happen, the other part of what we're doing is to make them defensible. Even
Yeah.
if something bad happened, can we come out and say, look, David Lee's organization did everything they could possibly do to prevent this from happening. Here are
Mhm.
the safeguards they had in place. Here's a framework they were following, and they were doing everything reasonable and appropriate for their size and complexity for this to not happen, but it happened anyway. It makes you
Yeah.
defensible. They're not
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
find you guilty of willful neglect because that
Yeah.
happened. And that's what you want. You want to reduce your exposure and your risk.
Yeah. 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 And get cybersecurity insurance, right?
Yeah, yeah. But even cybersecurity insurance is going to ask you, do you have all these things in place? All the stuff
Yeah.
I mentioned,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like some people
Because
think that
they need coverage
some
themselves.
people think that if I have the insurance, I don't have to do the protection. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
because if you don't have the protection, the insurance is going to say we're not going to cover you because you weren't
Yeah.
doing everything you can do to avoid it. So now you're again, now I have to make you defensible to your own insurance provider.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. The so now with businesses, more and more businesses, and it's been happening since, even prior to COVID, but even after now COVID, the pandemic, more and more people are working remotely.
Mhm.
Ourselves, we have remote teams. So what are some of the security holes that you see that businesses are doing with remote teams, and what are you doing yourself to kind of protect yourself and your data, and working with your clients, and helping them protect themselves too?
Yeah, it's a challenge in a number of areas because you're dealing with teams that are outsourced either nearshore or offshore. You can't necessarily give them the same level of access that you can somebody who's, sitting at a desk across the room. And there's a number of reasons for that. Obviously, one of the reasons has to do with the fact that you have no legal grounds if somebody does something. If the guy sitting in the same office with me does something that's malicious, I have some legal remedy there.
Hmm.
If somebody in another country does something, I may or may not. I may be able to go
Yeah.
after the firm that employed them as a subcontractor if they're a United States based firm. But if I'm doing it myself and I just went
Yeah.
out on, the web and said, hey, find me somebody,
Yeah.
I've got even more risk there. And so there's that part of it. And you have to
Hmm.
determine what you're going to give them access to, how are you going to manage that access, and again it comes back to what are the risks involved.
Hmm.
If I gave, let's say I gave an employee in the Philippines, I gave them access to my bank account information and
Hmm.
things like that. What is the
Yeah.
risk involved there? Well, that's pretty obvious what that is. Now,
Yeah.
if it goes sideways, what are my remedies? If I have
Hmm.
none, that's not a
Yeah.
risk I'm willing to accept.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
some cases, some clients either can't or don't want to deal with somebody who has offshore or nearshore. And so to
Hmm.
me, that's another thing you should be upfront about if you're doing
Yeah.
that is understand that I have those people. And it all usually comes down to regulation. Like I'm in a highly regulated industry that either doesn't allow that or prefers that I don't do that. And
Hmm.
they're not banning it. They're just saying, you need to make sure you got your I's dotted and T's crossed if you're doing this because you're inviting more risk into the environment. And so you
Yeah.
just have to again I know I keep saying it over and over, but you have to just mitigate those risks down.
Yeah. But I mean, we look at even let's look at like the top 100 companies, the Fortune 100 companies in the US,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I bet you every one of them has some sort of offshore,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's someone, or how about this? Remote work in general, right? Every one of them.
Well, are you familiar with the recent reportings? I say recent, I'd say the past 6 months or so. There's been a number of times where North Koreans have been hired by technology companies
Yeah.
or either in technology roles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they're essentially like spies, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to like funnel. They would hire people in America. Okay, that's another one where they would hire them, and unknowingly the people in the US were funneling the information over to
Yeah.
North Korea. So
Yeah.
that's another thing I heard
Yeah.
too.
That can happen as well. And this is one reason when I hire folks, I usually not usually, I always do a very, very comprehensive background check. And part of that is trying to understand not just from their background check, but also in working with them, keep an eye on things like their financial status. If they're having issues,
Yeah.
then it is more likely that they may be willing to do something that they maybe wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
There was a case actually out of Charlotte, North Carolina, which I'm in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, a number of years ago, where a lady who worked for a doctor's office for a while was funneling patient information to a hacking group.
Oh,
And this was one of these people where it was like, oh, Sally's worked here for 10 years. There's no way she would ever do that.
yeah.
And what they found out later is that it wasn't necessarily her, it was her boyfriend that she lived with was funneling this information. And if she didn't bring home that type of information, he would physically abuse her.
Oh, wow.
And so she was in a position to where she would literally have bodily harm done to her if she wasn't bringing this information back to her boyfriend, who was then selling it
Yeah.
to make money on it. So it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
keep up with all that. And it's hard to protect yourself against all that. But you have to always look at everything from kind of an outside point of view, because just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Sally's been there 10 years doesn't mean she won't ever do anything
Yeah.
malicious.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You want to know the whole story behind it, the context, the individual, right? Yeah, same here. Like for us, it's like, yeah, and to be clear for all the listeners, it's not like we're all like doom and gloom. We're like, hey, everyone's out to get you, right? Those crazy humans or crazy AI robots, right? That's not that, right?
No, no, no.
But
That's
to
what makes it
understand
so
that,
hard. It's,
yeah, yeah, humans are working with human beings.
I play, one of my downtime activities is playing video games, always has been, and there's this game I've been playing recently, and I bring it up because it reminds me a little bit of how we deal with this game. The game allows you to either work together with people that you don't know as a team,
Yeah.
or you can kill those people. And so
Oh, I think I know what game you're talking
it's
about.
Arc Raiders is the name of the
Yes.
game. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
never know, are you dealing with somebody who's going to work with you or shoot you in the back?
Yeah. Yeah. You go up to the surface, right?
Mhm.
And you have sometimes you have your really nice gun or really nice,
Right.
set of gear, right? And you're like, I just want to get some stuff and go home, right? And you meet someone and you're like, hi. But there's flags, right? There's flags. Like
Yeah.
they don't have a mic. They
Right.
don't talk to you, right? Or immediately they pull out their weapon,
Mhm.
right?
I mean, even how they standing, like even the character, like you're looking
Yeah, if they're
suspicious.
shady moving.
Yeah. I mean, everything you start reading every cue you could possibly read.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
again, it's not because it's all doom and gloom, but it's you never know. You just don't. The whole tension in that game is you don't know. And
Yeah, you don't
it's
know.
the same thing in real life. Like you just don't know
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
And
What
I've been running around with people the entire game. They're great. And then the
yeah.
last 20 seconds we're trying to
Oh, yeah,
extract
yeah,
and
they betray
then they
you,
shoot you in the
right?
back. And it's like,
Yeah, at the extract, right? It's like, how could you, right?
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many stories of that. I also play the game, and we were like, I was in a room, And well, actually, I was navigating, and he was in a room, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, hi." And he actually talked to me. And there was like these two safes, and he's like, he didn't need it. He's like, oh, "Okay, well, you can have it." I was like, oh, "Okay, cool, thank you."
Yeah.
And then this is when I was like starting the game, and I started looting it, and bam, it got taken out. Like, what the heck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the beginning, when I first started playing the game, I pretty much like lost hope in humanity. Like, I don't know if you went through that phase, right? You're like, my God, there's a terrible people out there. Oh my God, monsters everywhere. In the beginning, it just like lost hope, with humanity. I was like, they're terrible. But I later found out, like, the developer came out and said, oh yeah, it depends on how aggressive you are too. If
Mhm.
you're normally aggressive, even if, like, let's say you don't do it, but if you fight back and you take someone out, then you're going to be put into lobbies that are more aggressive.
Yep.
So there is that rating.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game, yeah, is
But it still
super
doesn't
fun.
mean you won't get shot in the back.
It still doesn't mean, yeah. You never know, right?
Right. You
You still
don't.
never know. You never know.
But yeah, I could talk about that game a lot.
Oh yeah. I didn't know you play. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We have to play together now.
yeah, for
I
sure.
actually have two different accounts. I have one for PvP and one for PvE.
Wow, you're serious.
I got tired of losing all my stuff, man. It's just
Well, I've done the extraction, the expeditions. So I lost my stuff twice now.
yeah, I haven't done that.
Okay,
But I mean,
okay.
might as well have creating another account.
I know, might as well, right? Good stuff, good stuff. But yeah, you never know, and for us, we build relationships. I mean, we're human, right? It's super important, building relationships, getting to know people. But for us, we go beyond that, is not just the background check. Background check is just only the first check when sometimes the background check doesn't pull anything out
Yeah.
at all.
And it's a moment in time check.
Yeah,
It's just like
exactly.
a vulnerability scan people ask us to do. Like, come in and do a vulnerability scan or security assessment. I'm like, I
Yeah,
will do that. And you should do that. But just
yeah,
understand it is a immediate snapshot in time. And
yeah,
before I get to the parking lot, it can change.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I feel like companies don't, and businesses and business owners don't talk about this enough, is work culture, like the organization's culture, like how, especially as they build or hire, bring on more people in the organization.
Mhm.
Like, what does that culture look like?
Yeah.
How do the team members interact with each other? And do they enjoy the work that they're doing?
Yeah.
Because also, like, this is kind of like untold, but it's kind of there. It's like, okay, if someone said, all right, I'm going to give you a ton of money, right? And everyone, I'm sure, has a certain level, a number. I wouldn't say everyone. Some people have a high number to break some of even their ethical and moral code. Some will not ever break that code,
Right.
right? Um, and so the way to look at that and say, all right, well, I don't want to not only break that code, not because of just not only my moral and ethical values,
Mhm.
but also I'm in an environment where I enjoy it, right? I don't want to lose all this. And also, I have friends and relationships that I've built here. Like, that alone, like, also, their family knows my family, right? Like, I don't want to be the outcast, because, like, if you look back, what is it, even 100 years ago, you know how, like, they used to, like, punish people. They would put them in the town hall or town center, right?
Mhm.
Put them in shackles, and people would chuck tomatoes at them, right? They would shame them, right?
Right.
Like, shame them. And that's kind of like the human aspect of uh and to be clear, we don't shame people in our organization, but it's that level of pressure of not, I don't want to let anyone down, right?
Mhm.
I want to be there, and that's more of the positive side. So, it's culture, building a good company
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah. One of the questions I get when we talk about outsourced teams, when I'm talking to other business owners, is how do you maintain a culture at all? And it is more challenging for sure to do that, but it can be done. And it has to be done by having more interaction that's not just business related, but just in general. If you were
Mhm.
in an office, and this is what I try to replicate for my team, because I have people that are local and I have people that are nearshore and offshore. So I have all of it.
Yeah.
When you have everybody in the office, you're like, well, they learn each other because they have break times together. They have the water cooler time, as they call it, or
Hmm.
whatever. And
Yeah.
there's communication and things that are happening around the office. So how can I, as a business owner, try to replicate that remotely as much as possible? And it's not easy to do, but it can be done to some degree. And
Hmm.
so, we make sure we have morning huddles. Everybody gets on video. We do morning huddles. Everybody talks about what their day is going to encompass.
Love it.
That usually pulls out some conversation about, oh, I didn't know you were working with a client on XYZ. I'm working on them on ABC. Let's collaborate on this. And then there's also we also do an afternoon huddle. It's longer. It's like a 30-minute. So we stop working at 5. So from 4:30 to 5, everybody gets on video. Sometimes there's no interaction at all going on. Everybody's just kind of on video working, but it's still the ability to see them. Like if I'm in an
Mhm.
office with you, even if we're not talking, I'm able to still kind of have some type of visual communication with you.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then, either myself or somebody else sometimes will bring up, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Any plans? And, or something comes up. I've got people in 3 different countries. So there's always something to talk about.
Of course. Yeah.
What's going on in your area? There's typhoons here. There's wars and takeovers.
I know.
There's always something to talk about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we'll just have communication, and of course, communicating with them one on one, like how's your family doing, and how's the new
Yeah.
puppy doing, and people always have things going on. Just being
Yeah.
somewhat interested in that is just a
Yep.
good way to build culture. I don't want people to think that I only care about them from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
I
No.
just don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just gotta care, right? Gotta actually be human,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Well, it's not looking at people like I'm hiring. Here's the way I do it. Not saying it's right or wrong. I don't look at my staff as working for me. I look at my staff as I'm working for them. They are working
Hmm.
for the client. Their job is to make
Yeah.
the client happy. My job is to make them happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just the way I run it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And the way I look at it is like, typically an organization's hierarchy is like a pyramid
Mhm.
where, the CEO or the president's on top, right? I look at it and say, I flip it.
Mhm.
Let's flip that, right? So we have our individual contributors or ICs, right, all the way up top, the technical staff, right, and then the managers, then senior managers, and then leadership, executive team, right, all the way on the bottom. So the higher up, but the more you're responsible for, then the more, basically the more people that you are responsible for is the more people you're serving,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, just looking at that like that, that's very similar, but has
Yeah.
helped.
And you can usually tell if it's working. I've had to tell some of my people, like, hey, stop working at 5 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
you're done. I don't want you doing stuff over the weekend. And when you start seeing people go outside of what their expectations are, that's when
Yeah.
I think it's part of how you've got a good culture. It's like
Yeah.
they care enough where they're not also going, I'm going to start at 8 and I'm going to stop at 5. Don't call me
Yeah.
at 7:59. Don't call me at 5:01. That,
Yep. Yep. They're ready to be clocked out. Like start of the week, they're like, oh yeah, I can't wait until Friday, or I'm just gonna clock
yeah.
out then, right?
Yeah. One
It,
of the things I always do in our Friday meetings, the Friday afternoon meetings, is I always apologize for the weekend. Like I know, guys, I know y'all want to work 7 days a week, but unfortunately, we have to take weekends off. And I know everybody's eager for Monday morning. I am too. And so usually when Monday morning comes around, I'm like, welcome back, y'all. I hope y'all are as
yeah.
excited to get back as I am. And it's just kind of a running joke because
Yeah.
even if they don't feel that way, it's like I don't want to portray oh gosh, here it is Monday morning again, and I can't
Yeah.
wait till Friday. You're already looking forward to the weekend on Monday morning. It's like
Yeah.
let's start Monday with, hey, we got a fresh week ahead of us. Let's kill it. Let's knock it out. And then
Yeah.
on Friday, guess what? You get the reward of doing whatever you want to do on the weekend and then looking forward to Monday morning again.
Yeah.
That's what I try to portray. And I honestly do look forward to Monday mornings, but
Yeah, same here. I mean, I have young kids, so the weekend's actually harder, right? 4 kids, oldest is only 6, so you can imagine like the
oh, I
weekends are
don't have to imagine. I
insane.
lived it.
Yeah, you lived it, right? So it's insane on the weekends. I'm like, Monday, oh, I can't because we have a babysitter coming in. We have help during the weekdays,
Right,
right?
right, right.
But the weekends, it's just my wife and I, and we're trying to figure out the plan. If we don't have any plans for the weekend and we're at home, they get stir crazy, and you know how it is, right?
Yep,
It's insane.
yep.
So it's much easier during the weekday. I never would have thought, say, oh yeah, running a business, working at work is so much easier than raising 4 kids.
Yeah. So, but those are just some of the things I do to try to build a good culture that people want to come to work and they appreciate the things you do for them, because not
Yeah.
everything is monetary. Like you can't pay people enough money oftentimes to make them really happy with their job. So it's like,
Yeah.
what else would it be? Sure, you can give them more money, but oftentimes it's, you know what? I'd love to go see my daughter in a play that's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I don't want to not be able to go because I don't have any PTO.
Yeah.
So for us, we do unlimited PTO, which it blows
Oh,
people's mind. They're
wow.
like, what? How are you able to do that? You'd be surprised, at least in my organization, I almost have to force people to take time off because it
Yeah.
it it regulates itself, because nobody wants to be the person that's taking off more time than everybody else, because we're a
Yeah.
small
Yeah. Yeah.
company and you feel it. Like when
Yeah.
somebody's off.
Yeah. 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 We actually, interestingly enough, we went to that route and then we went back because the problem with that, with unlimited, is that people are thinking, well, I don't want to take I don't want to abuse the system and I don't want to let people down,
Mhm. Yep.
but the problem was that our team members were still working too much. I was like, dude, go take that break. And I had, or go, take time off.
Yep.
And so no one was abusing it, using it. It's just, they just weren't using it at all. It's like, oh no, no, that can't happen.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and so just,
we monitor that, and if you haven't taken time off, we look at it in quarters. Like you should have taken some time off every quarter. I don't
yeah,
care if it's a day for a long weekend or whatever you want to do. If you
yeah,
haven't, then we're going to reach out to you and be like, hey, dude, you need to schedule some time off. And usually
yeah,
the question is, well, I don't really have anything I need to do. That's not the point. The point is you need to decompress.
yeah.
So take a Friday, take a long weekend, whatever the case might be, but you need to take some time off for yourself.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Our talk reminded me, this is one of the books that I've been reading, or I guess listening. It's called Drive
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
by Daniel Pink. So it's basically about the motivation, motivation 3.0. It's not about just the money part.
Mhm.
It's beyond that now, as we're bringing on, as we work with millennials and Gen Zs, that these generations, they're thinking more than just a paycheck.
Yeah, they wanna know what impact they're making in the world, and so you have to
Yeah,
tell them
exactly.
that and show them that,
Yeah,
and if they think that the only thing I'm doing is impacting the owner's pocketbook,
yeah,
they're not gonna stay long.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, I tell my team often, "You're not just doing IT work, you're protecting people's livelihoods, and in some cases, you're even protecting their life."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
there are cases where people have been ransomwared
Yeah,
for they've had their entire life savings stolen, and then they commit suicide.
yeah,
So ultimately, if we can prevent those things, we prevent the ransomware, we literally could prevent somebody from taking their own life. So it's
yeah.
more than just, hey, we're just doing cybersecurity work.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, anyways, yeah, we're well over time. Thank you for all your time.
Yeah.
How can people reach you, and like if they have more questions on cybersecurity, HIPAA, they have a business, and they're like, hey, yeah, definitely, I feel the sharks, I see the sharks sometimes,
Right.
I need some help, right? How can they reach out?
So you can find us online at securityfirstit.com. That's all spelled out. My direct email address is David at securityfirstit.com. Not Dave, David at securityfirstit.com. So
Love
you
it.
can email me there, and be more than happy to talk with any of your listeners.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Well, I hope to see you back on in the future. And there's so much other stuff to talk and about, and IT and tech constantly, changes. It's hard to keep up, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, definitely love to have you on again in the future.
Yep. Just let me know.
Well, yeah, sounds good. Well, take
All
care.
right. You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.